Okay, we're starting. Okay, Sister, tell me about your favorite Christmas tradition.
Okay, my favorite, the one that in Europe anyway. This
You're
is terrible.
You're...
And so he would eat the. Yeah, okay. I'm messing it up. I'd hate to see myself.
You're so funny.
Hi Hillside Ward friends. I know I'm in silhouette, but I wanted you to see this pretty sunset. Bishop Proctor asked if Scott and I wanted to participate in the videos for the Christmas party. Scott's on a business trip, so it's just me. My favorite Christmas tradition is we do a big Norwegian Christmas Eve, and we dance around the tree. We hold hands, my whole extended family, all my 7 siblings and my kids and my husband and my parents and my nieces and nephews and their spouses and kids, and we have over 50 people. And Christmas isn't Christmas without our Norwegian Christmas Eve.
Okay, in Europe, when I was young, we used to put our little shoes up to by the chimney. And some houses didn't have a chimney, they just had a little stove, and we put it right there next to the stove. But anyway, Santa Claus comes, actually it's St. Nicholas, and he came on a donkey. And so the donkey eats the carrot peelings and the potato peelings. And then he replaces them with goodies. And the goodies, there's all kind of little goodies, and they're usually an orange, that's a thing, And there's marzipan, and that is my favorite candy, marzipan. I remember one time I ate, my brother didn't like him, so I ate his and I got sick. I loved the marzipan. So anyway, so that was a tradition. Okay. So, and another thing is we always put real candles on the tree. Now we don't leave them all night or all day or anything like this. We're just for a little bit, we light them up and we sing a couple of Christmas carols, and that's it, so it's Christmas. Tell the story. Oh yeah, and we read the story in Luke and in the Book of Mormon. We always liked the one in the Book of Mormon.
My favorite tradition comes from my family, where we would take Christmas pudding, and each slice, my father would manage to put a silver sixpence, which is an English coin, into each portion that went to the children, so that everybody got something. And he was skillful enough that whenever he cut it, the kids always ended up with a sixpence, but nobody else did.
Yeah.
The adults did.
Yeah.
And the other memory I have is my wife Gal bought me this 27 years ago.
That's awesome.
And I wear it every Christmas. It's been through many washes.
Yeah.
And there's a little button here, and if you come close, it may still work.
My favorite family tradition for Christmas is putting on a Messiah. I started in Maryland in 1970 when the state president asked me if I would take the calling to use as a missionary tool. We used members of the Baltimore Symphony and professional musicians at that time, and we did it for 20 years. I came to Utah because of the illness of my husband, and I needed to be near family for support. After a meeting at the Alpine Tabernacle, I decided we had to do a Messiah here. So we started the first year with a 60-piece wonderful orchestra, a great 100-voice choir, and we did it until 2 years ago, after which I did it in a private home So this is the first year in about 50 years that I haven't conducted a Messiah. I felt that the joy and pleasure that it brought to my family and to the members of the community was beyond measure.
Well, I don't know about a favorite, but one for me recently has been singing in Joyful Christmas. You know, the local choir. I've done that for 25 years, but they're not doing it this year. But also, we do like to go to a Christmas Eve church service somewhere, because, you know, a lot of times the LDS church, well, they don't have a service unless it's Christmas is Sunday. So anyway, we usually go to a midnight Christmas service together.
We talk with our kids too, because there's so many as your kids are growing up, and some that you kind of lose and then you add others. But when we were first here in Alpine, it was real popular to do the luminaries every year. You've maybe seen them advertised, but it seems like everybody really caught on to that tradition. And so after we went to the Christmas nativity that the ward had, we would load up in the car and we would drive around Alpine and see all the luminaries that everybody had put out. And then my kids thought that they would take it one step further, and they started making awards. And so we would leave awards in people's mailboxes that the little kids had made, and for the straightest Christmas lights, the best Christmas tree that shone through their window, or the best luminaries, or the best icicle lights. They had quite a number of things that they would do, and we would just stick that little award in their mailbox, and the kids thought that that was just really grand.
They would listen to NSYNC Christmas while they were doing it.
That's right. Always NSYNC Christmas, with the windows rolled down and them singing along.
My favorite Christmas memory, one of them, is when I was about 10 or 12 and we decided to help a neighbor family. I grew up in Linden, Utah, and we had a neighbor family that lived in a small 2-bedroom home in a orchard near our home. They had 11 kids in this tiny house. The house had just been built for seasonal migrant workers. Anyway, they struggled to support 11 children, and so we got them a whole bunch of gifts one year and wrapped them up and left them on their porch, and we hid and watched them open it, and it was really fun to see it. I think, like most of you, we do sub for Santa and we help families every Christmas, but I don't often get to see the end when they actually open the gifts, so that was fun.
Well, when I lived in Belgium, this might not be my favorite, but it's my most memorable, because it was during the war and our house had just been bombed, and we had to go over to my grandmother's house, and this was during the night. It was quite a scary thing, walking during the night, the whole city, across the city. No cars, we didn't have any cars. But anyway, so we were staying there. That it was Christmas time. My mom had hoped that they wouldn't be bombing at that time, but they still were. You could still hear the planes. Anyway, so we were in the little cellar. It was smaller than this living room, and there was a little pile of potatoes in one corner and a pile of coal in the other corner. There was a double bed where my mother, my dad, my grandpa, my grandma, and my aunt, who's a teenager, slept in a double bed. That's all. They slept this way. And actually, after a couple of nights, my grandpa says, "Hey, you know, I don't care if I'm bombed. I'll just go upstairs. Stay away from that bed." But anyway, so we were there, and at Christmas time, my dad went off just before Christmas. He went to the the woods, not too far from where my grandparents lived, and he cut down a little Christmas tree, a little pine tree. It wasn't very big, of course, not like we've got now here, but it was beautiful for us.
Yeah.
We didn't have any ornaments or anything like that, but we just put that on there. And my mother had a little creche, that's a nativity scene that was there. And so on Christmas Day, we were brought 2 gifts. There was 2 little gifts on the Christmas tree. And one was a little teddy bear that I got. It was not very big. It was like this. And my brother got a motorcycle. Now, our doctors would come on a motorcycle, and my brother was so excited about the motorcycle, you could have given him the moon, and that would have been good,
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that was our Christmas there. Like I said, the most memorable Christmas.
Okay, my favorite is from 1992 when I was able to get 6 hours of sleep because 8-week-old Robin slept through the night, and I woke up on Christmas without having interrupted sleep all night long with a newborn.
My favorite Christmas memory was in 1952 when a group of friends came over to my house to open Christmas presents on Christmas Eve. We started looking through the presents and we passed them out, and then it was my turn to get a gift from my boyfriend. It was a lovely box with a nice bow. I opened the box, looked in, and there was another box. I picked up that box, looked inside, another box. So finally I came to a small box, ring-sized, and I thought to myself, wow, this is interesting. Monty, my boyfriend at the time, came over and proposed, and I said yes, and he became my eternal companion.
We talked about it. Sarah's going to tell you.
Oh, well, a favorite was 25 years ago, and we were living in New Zealand, and we had just gone for 6 months, so we didn't really have a lot of stuff with us, and we'd been there a month, and it was Christmas time. We found a little scraggly tree because, it's summertime there, so they didn't really have a lot of selection. But anyway, we brought it home, and our neighbors came over and brought us their ornaments because they knew we didn't have anything. So I don't know, I always kind of remember that as a special Christmas. And then the day after Christmas, we went on a boating trip to Rabbit Island, and in New Zealand they celebrate Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, so it's kind of like 2 celebrations in one.
As we were talking about it, I think the funnest times that we can remember for Christmas was the first year we were here in Alpine. So it was 30 years ago, and it was a magical Christmas. The snow was falling, and we were going to have a white Christmas. And when we woke up that morning, there were probably 25 deer in our backyard, and the kids could have cared less about opening presents or their stockings or anything. We just watched the deer for a long time. And later that day, there were probably a herd of 130 deer up where Albrechts live, because nothing was north of us at the time or west. And so that was just the hills. And we watched this herd for part of the morning. And now I hate the deer. And I'm not too excited if they're in my backyard. But that year it was just kind of a magical Christmas. The kids were excited, thinking Santa had really come and maybe left a couple of his reindeers there.
What I love about Christmas is the music and the lights, and I love joining with fellow Christians around the world as we commemorate and celebrate the birth of our Savior. And to come closer to Christ on Christmas, I ponder the scriptures about the Christmas story and the Savior's birth, and I picture myself in it and wonder what it was like for Joseph and for Mary and for the angels and everyone involved. And I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas.
After we came to America, we did Christmas like we do here, except we still read the Christmas story in both the Book of Mormon and Luke.
Yeah.
But after Dennis and I got married, then Dennis's birthday is Christmas Eve, and so we decided to celebrate on Christmas Eve. And so we've done that ever since then, and even now I have all my family come over on Christmas Eve. I just have like an open house now because can't put all of them. We've got so many of us, you know. But anyway, so that's our tradition, and read the story also. So. And we remember that it's Christ's birth. Even we usually have a cake for my husband, but Christ can have a piece too.
Christmas is special to me because I usually get to spend it with my parents and other family, so it's always very nice to come home from wherever I've been, whether that's a university in Hawaii or now living in Denmark or wherever I've been. Always nice to come home and spend some quality time with the family.
I come on to Christ in the Christmas season through beautiful sacred music, wonderful friends and family, and delicious food. The year is 1936. The state is Minnesota, northern Minnesota, where the snow is high and the temperatures are low. It was in the middle of the Depression. Everybody was poor. I didn't know anyone who even owned a car. Children were lucky if they had 2 Christmas gifts or 2 toys. My family congregated at my grandmother's house for a Swedish smorgasbord every Christmas. We packed all those people into a small house. The cooking for the dinner was done on a wood stove, and everybody was filled with laughter and love. The only presents that were given were to the children, and this is what the gifts included: 1 orange, Christmas candies, and a pair of homemade mitts. We were all happy. We didn't worry about material things. We just were concerned about having fun with family. And that's why Christmas is important to me.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's the birth of Jesus that we're celebrating, but it just seems like a time of year when people are kinder and more willing to help others and maybe not think of themselves quite so much. I just like the spirit of it. It's a good month. I wish it would last longer.
Well, for me, it just gets the family together. It's a family time, probably more so than any other time of the year. And the other thing is, you know, if you really put it in perspective, it's the beginning of the atonement process, the birth of the Savior. And, you know, the Savior was born without lights. He was born without presents. He was born without all the fuss and everything that we do now. And what we do now is, you know, a reminder of all that, but it's, at the end of the day, it's not the outward stuff that's the important stuff. It's the birth of the Savior that's really the important item of the day, if you will.
A lot of it, you can add to this, is giving, sharing what we have with others, thinking of others before ourselves, and just actually putting into practice those lessons Christ taught us, to be kind, to be loving, to be accepting. And I think it's kind of the first story that we teach our children about Christ, you know, starting with the birth of Christ and how they can become like him. And it's through examples that we teach them at Christmas too, that they learn and that we can just expound upon during, you know, the year, but to remind us to just put Christ first. And I think that is through example. One thing I'm going to just tell you, Dean has always kind of been grinchy at Christmas time. For some reason, I think he must have had a childhood bad experience. So before he went in for his heart surgery, I told the doctor that we need to get rid of the Grinch heart, and we wanted a good heart for this Christmas. And I can promise you that the heart he has now isn't the heart he had before. This heart is filled with more love than I've ever known. And so I think his heart doctor got rid of that grinchy heart. So we couldn't be more excited for that.
Thank you.